Welcome back to In Case You Missed It, the weekly recap that I post every Thursday on this channel. We got a lot to get to, so let's get right to it. James Wiseman had a pretty good week up until he played the Timberwolves. His most notable performance was when he had 24, 9, and 4 on the Celtics. It was a good week for a player I personally have given up on, but comment down below if his career is going to be resurrected, because I personally think this dude is done. Brandon Miller was cooking this week as the Cavs seemed to have no answer for him, leading to 2 games where he was cooking, but the Hornets broke news that LaMelo Ball will not play the rest of the season, so is there really much to talk about? Not really. Kyle Kuzma dropped 31, 6, and 5 on the Kings to open the week, and that probably made the Kings wish they traded for him at the trade deadline. But in shocking fashion, the Wizards won 3 games this week, which matched their win total on the season. Scoot Henderson was back in the lineup this week, and he knew he had to show out given the fact the media believes he has a huge part to blame for the G League Ignite shutting down. Anyways, the Blazers have so many good pieces for their future, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like when they put it together in a year or two. Grady Dick has been playing much better basketball of late, and if he develops himself defensively, I think it is safe to say that the Raptors' future will look like Quickly, Dick, Barrett, Barnes, and Podol. I can't pronounce Jakob Poeltl's name, which is pretty good start at 5 anyways. Grizzlies are boring. Nothing new happened this week. I guess the Jazz might just be the team everyone wants to dunk on because after last week's highlight on them, this week Kyrie Irving was catching lobs on them. That is not something you would expect to see. Another insane stat line for Wemby Friday night as he had 31, 16, and 5 with 5 stocks. In other news, no Wemby meant Jeremy Sohan had a legacy game on my Suns as he had 26 and 18. Really can't make up how everybody goes off on my Suns. If the Nets find a star point guard to place in a lineup with Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and Nick Claxton, this lineup could be very sneaky in the East. I personally would love if they could go out and get DeJounte Murray from the Hawks. Maybe they put Cam Thomas in a package for Trae Young, though, which would also go crazy. But I don't know. The Nets should definitely get one of the Hawks point guards. I guess last week was just a preview for Io because he opened this week with 35 in Houston. Then DeMar went off for 28, 9, and 6 on the Celtics, but this week for the Bulls was not a productive week at all in terms of wins and losses. DeJounte Murray cooked my Suns, and then he torched the Hornets, even worse. But the most notable thing that happened this week for the Hawks was the 30-point comeback win on the Celtics without Trae Young. That was a very impressive win. This is not a drill. Joel Embiid has returned to practice. Watch the 76ers make a run to the conference finals after winning the play-in tournament. I just know that's going to happen for some reason, if he comes back into form. Now, he is historically awful in postseason play, so I'm not going to hold my breath for that. The Magic had 3 different games where 3 different players went off this week. Paolo had a triple-dub ski on the Pelicans, then J.I. had a 25-7 game off the bench, and Cole Anthony went off in an L against the Warriors. But yeah, not much else happened for the Magic outside of those 3 players each having performances that were great, just on different nights. The Cavs had a very uninteresting week without Donovan Mitchell as they went 1-3, so not much to talk about. I mean, we could talk about Jared Allen some more, but if you can't see what he's been doing already and you don't understand it, then I don't know what to tell you because he has been amazing this year. The Heat didn't have a great nor notable week at all this week, so we're not really going to talk about them because they went 1-2 and got smoked in both of their losses. Jock Landale probably had the best game of his career against the Bulls this week as he went off for 17, 12, and 5 with 2 blocks and a win. But the story of this week is still Jalen Green, as he has been torching still. We finally saw Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton's full potential as a duo in Golden State Friday night, as Hallie had 26 and 11 while Siakam had 25, 16, and 6. Something light for each of them. Then in LA, they gave up 150 points, which is still very wild to me since the game did not go to overtime. But Pascal Siakam was cooking this week, and it's safe to say that he is in fact comfortable in Indiana now, even though Indiana was embarrassed in Chicago. This week's shun goes to the Kings as they lost to the Wizards. I want everyone to remember Draymond Green's comments on the Rockets as the exact moment the Warriors drop in the standings and miss the playoffs and play-in tournament as a whole. If he didn't open his mouth, the Warriors would have been fine, but he just reignited the target on their back. And Steph Curry was visibly not happy with him after what happened in Orlando to end the week, so there's a lot of controversy. I don't think Draymond Green's going to be on the Warriors next year if I were to make a bet about it, which I do not bet, of course. Klay Thompson is also starting again, in case you missed it. It was a very impressive week for the Lakers. I mean, they gave up 145 points in a regulation game, yet they still won, which is crazy to think about. But hey, a win is a win. And the Lakers went undefeated this week. The game against Milwaukee was absolutely insane, though, for this team, as it showed a lot of danger potential for the league, because if they get hot, it could be very, very hard to see them lose. The Clippers have looked awful of late, but luckily they did not have a hard schedule at all this week, and yet they couldn't even go undefeated. Disappointing. If you saw the Brandon Ingram injury but missed the update, he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks as he has a knee contusion. Heal up for the postseason, BI. The Suns beat the Hawks this week, even though DeJounte Murray torched us, but we finally beat the Spurs as the Big Three was cooking, but then we lost them without Wemby, despite 36-6-4 from Devin Booker and 29-8-6 from Kevin Durant. Beal also went off for 9 points. Nice. This is exactly why I wanted to trade my favorite player, Chris Paul, to get Bradley Beal with way worse stats. I'm still mad about that. I could talk about Luka again. I could talk about Kyrie Irving again. But this week we talk about Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford was in fact a perfect addition. And he shows us time and time again that he's just the best fit next to Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. He's just a perfect fit there. It makes no sense. Efficiency, doesn't miss a shot. Rebounding, A+. Shot blocking, A+. Everything you need next to these two players, he checks off every box, and it is perfect for this team. The Milwaukee Bucks are the most confusing team in the NBA right now. This week summed that up perfectly for us. Against the Thunder, they looked like the best team in the league again. The very next game against the Lakers, they choke a 19-point lead to a team without their best player. We see this up and downhill with this team so much this year that it isn't even a surprise at this point. However, I've come to my final conclusion on whether or not they are contenders. They are in fact contenders if Chris Middleton remains healthy and is on the court. If not, they will lose first or second round, and I won't second guess it. Time will tell. But for all the bad we've seen this year, they still have moments where they look like the favorites in the East or second best team in the East. So we do have to respect them more the closer we get to playoffs, because this team is designed for the playoff success. And that will really be the determining factor on whether or not acquiring Damian Lillard was a good move in the long run. Because if this team does well in the playoffs, then there's no second guessing how good this trade was. But if they don't, then we need to have a deeper conversation this offseason. Deuce McBride has been turned up the past few weeks, and it couldn't be better timing for the Knicks. My goodness, since they were struggling, now they're looking amazing again. And that's why they're a top 5 team, in my opinion, again. SGA has been known as Mr. Consistent with 31-point games every night, as he is averaging 30 points a game. Yet this week, the week he has gotten the most attention and praise from the media, he had 3 games where he didn't score 30. Really is crazy how the media works. Naz Reid might be the most loved player in the NBA though, so obviously you see a lot of stuff about him if you go on TikTok, social media as a whole, but the memes do not do justice to how good he actually is, because he is a very, very good player. I was going to discuss the Celtics bench this week and how the doubt of the depth for the Celtics should be silenced, because it hasn't really been a problem in the regular season at all, but they are getting shunned for blowing a 30-point lead against a team without their best player. And the best team in the NBA is the Nuggets still. Michael Porter Jr. went off against the Knicks for 31-8 with 1 assist that didn't register because it was an assist to himself. All jokes aside, though, he has been shown why he is getting paid as much as he is, because, my goodness, he's been very good of late, but he's still very overpaid. And with that, we conclude another episode of In Case You Missed It. I mean, we do have awards. The awards, Jalen Green Player of the Week, Lakers Team of the Week, Clutch Player, there was no one that stood out clutch outside of the Player of the Week, Jalen Green, and the least valuable player, there wasn't no one really stinking up the court this week outside of Bradley Beal, so I'm not really going to do an award like that, because let's be honest, it's not even like Bradley Beal's disappointing us, because we just come to expect him to not be good this year. The worst team of the week was definitely the Cavaliers. They were not great at all this week. I mean, they went 1-3, but they don't have Donovan Mitchell, but still 1-3 for a team that's been getting a lot of praise, especially for me. Very disappointing. But yeah, that's going to conclude In Case You Missed It. I'm excited for the end of the NBA season. Y'all have a good one. Make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to turn on post notifications when you do, so you don't miss next week's episode. Bye.